Adriana, why are you at Dad's funeral?
Huh? What do you mean why I'm at his funeral? Weren't all of Dad's relatives invited to come?
Stop pretending like he was your dad, Adriana. You're pretending like you were his family during yesterday's wake, too. Do you know how annoyed I was at seeing you?
But I'm his daughter, so I wanted to say farewell to him as well.
Huh? It seems like you have some sort of misunderstanding, but it's extremely rude to sit with his family when you're just an adopted child.
What? I know I was only adopted, but he raised me like his own daughter ever since I was a young child. I don't even remember who my real parents were.
It doesn't matter whether he raised you or not when you're not actually related to him by blood. You're not related to me either. I call you my sister just for convenience, but I don't really think you're my sister, alright? You're always just fucking Adriana in my mind. But I'm the daughter of a CEO, so I can't say such things out loud, right? I feel as if I'm being punished whenever I have to call you my sister, but it can't be helped.
Philia, why were you always this mean to me?
Why shouldn't I be mean to you? Even though you weren't even Dad's real child, he always treated you better than me, his actual daughter, for some goddamn reason. But just because I call you my sister doesn't mean you can pretend to be his daughter at his funeral. Dad was always nice to you, but I'm not going to be the same. I'm his real daughter, not you. You're basically just a stranger to him, you know?
I'm sorry. I didn't know you felt like that all this time. I guess it must have been difficult seeing your father treat us differently. But still, what you're saying is just going too far. Just because I wasn't related to him by blood doesn't mean that we couldn't have had a meaningful relationship as father and daughter.
Shut it. Just leave the funeral right now. I don't want to hear any of your excuses. Ugh, I always hated how you were like this. Every time I get mad at you, you always pretend like you did nothing wrong and I'm the bad guy. For once, could you just admit you were wrong?
Adriana, are you alright?
Oh, hi, Irvis. It's fine. I just got a little bit wet. It's not like she hurt me or anything.
Someone saw Phila dumping a bucket of water on you and told me about it. Where are you right now?
I'm at the rental clothes store near the funeral.
Oh, so you rented morning clothes to go to the funeral?
Yep. Someone from the shop saw that Philly had dumped a bucket of water on me and brought me here.
I'm glad things seem to be alright. They're gonna give you new clothes, right?
Yeah, thankfully the owner's a kind person. I also thought of borrowing a wig and some glasses.
What? For what would you need a wig and glasses for?
To disguise myself. So I could sit with the rest of the relatives without being noticed.
What? You don't have to hide like that, Adriana. You did nothing wrong. He's your father.
But...
I'll sit next to you the whole time and prevent anyone from doing anything strange.
What? You'll do that for me?
You're my fiancé. I already got permission to sit with your relatives, so it's not gonna be a problem. Even Phila will have no choice but to behave if she's in front of a crowd of people. Don't worry about it. Return to the funeral and say goodbye to your father. Even though you weren't related to him by blood, you were probably closer to him than anyone else in that funeral. Even Phila.
Irvis, I wouldn't know what I would do without you. Thank you. I'll return as soon as I change.
What is your problem? Why is Irvis standing watch next to you the whole time?
Hello, Philia. I know you were mad at me, but dumping a bucket of water on my head like that was rude. I would have been glad to settle our differences, but you didn't want to talk to me.
This again. I hate how you always make me seem like the bad guy. You don't seem to understand yet. You're not supposed to be at this funeral. Also, Irvis is supposed to be my fiancé, not yours.
Huh? What does Irvis have to do with this? And what do you mean he's supposed to be your fiancé?
I mean, shouldn't the person who's going to inherit father's company marry the CEO's only daughter? Mom said that as well. And besides, he's too good for you anyways.
Are you trying to say that it's already decided that Irvis is going to be the next CEO? Where'd you get that information?
I mean, isn't it obvious? For some unknown reason, he's engaged to you, who isn't actually related to father, but it was supposed to be me, you know? This is a good opportunity, so I'll be taking Irvis from you, okay?
That has nothing to do with whether Irvis is going to be the next CEO. What you're saying doesn't make any sense, Philia.
You're so frustrating to talk to. You're going to leave this funeral and Irvis is going to be mine, period. Oh, I almost forgot. There's something Mom wants to tell you. Don't think that a stranger has a right to receive an inheritance, she said.
Sorry, but I'm not going to leave the funeral, and I'm not going to give you Irvis as well. And what's that about the inheritance? Is she telling me to let go of my portion of the inheritance when he was my father as well?
Fine, stay at the funeral if you want. Just know that you aren't welcomed here. Oh, and as for Irvis, I'll take care of him myself later. And yes, that's what Mom is saying. I agree with her, by the way. Why should a complete stranger inherit stuff from my dad, who was a CEO? He probably has a fortune waiting for me.
I don't think this is something we should be talking about the day of the funeral. It's impolite. Dad's will is going to be released by a lawyer after the memorial service takes place, right? The company can't just wait until it's released. So it seems that they're holding meetings to decide who the next CEO is going to be. So I think it's best not to say or do anything stupid for now.
I didn't quite get what you said, but I'm going to take Irvis from you, all right? Irvis himself will probably choose me, the CEO's real daughter, over a complete stranger like you, if he's going to go after the position of CEO.
Well, I guess we are just strangers to each other. I can understand why you don't like me, but it's not an excuse to treat me the way you're currently treating me.
Finally, you understand. It's fine with me, whatever you think, as long as you get out of my life. Looks like you messed up, Adriana. Irvis, the next CEO of Dad's company, is going to be mine now. Too bad, I guess.
But it was already decided before Dad passed away that Irvis wouldn't be the next CEO.
Huh? What are you talking about? What do you mean he's not going to be the next CEO? Hi, Irvis. I'm your new fiancé from now on, so I hope we can get along.
Huh? What are you talking about, Filler? My fiancé isn't you, but Adriana, your sister?
Oh, that's been canceled.
Huh? Canceled? What do you mean?
Dad messed up a bit, so you for some reason got engaged to Adriana, but in reality, you're supposed to marry me, not her. Which is why I'm gonna fix things now that Dad is gone.
My marriage with Adriana has nothing to do with the company's interest, though.
But just a little bit longer and I'll get my hands on Dad's inheritance. If you don't marry me, then the position of CEO is gonna be harder to obtain, you know?
I don't quite follow.
What?
It doesn't matter what you say, my fiancée is Adriana. I have no intention of getting married to any other woman. Goodbye.
What's the meaning of this? Why are you the next CEO? This has got to be some sort of mistake. What dirty trick did you use to make this happen?
Philia, it looks like you're misunderstanding.
What? How am I misunderstanding?
I'll try to explain to you what happened, alright?
Fine, explain it then.
Well, we first need to talk about why your father adopted me.
It's because Mom and Dad couldn't quite bear a child, right? But I was miraculously born after they adopted you.
It's true that they couldn't bear a child before they adopted me, but everything else is wrong.
Huh?
They didn't tell me how much you knew, but it seems that I'm Dad's biological nephew.
What? His nephew?
Yes, I'm his sister's daughter. His sister and her husband, meaning my real parents, suddenly passed away after getting into an accident. So your father took custody of me and adopted me as his daughter. That's what I heard.
Oh, is that so? So does that mean we're cousins?
Yes. About the next CEO of the company then. Dad's company evaluates people entirely on their skill. It's just a coincidence that the next CEO, me, also happened to be related to the previous CEO. I was one of the employees who were chosen as candidates for the next CEO. And luckily, they noticed my hard work and chose me.
So what about Irvis?
I've been going out with him since I was in the second year of high school. I'm only marrying him because I want to. It has nothing to do with the company.
No way, but I heard that he was competent at his job. He was at least chosen as one of the candidates for the next CEO, right?
I didn't know you had that wrong as well. Irvis isn't even an employee at our company. Where did you even get that information?
Seriously? But I always thought that Dad had brought the two of you together since he was planning to make Irvis the next CEO.
What? You read way too many short stories, Philia. Well, do you understand the situation now? There's a lot of things I need to learn if I'm going to be the next CEO, so I'm quite busy. Bye.
This can't be true. This is completely different to what I thought was happening. Why did I get everything so wrong? Why? Why is Dad's will like this? You inherit all of Dad's property, and me and Mom just get a few gifts.
It's just as the will says. Apparently you're Dad's child legally, but your father was actually a different man, and you were only born because Mom cheated on Dad. I was surprised when I saw this on the will, too. It looks like Dad even has proof that you aren't his real daughter, so there can't be a mistake.
What?
I'm sure Dad was conflicted by this fact all this time. He probably could have divorced Mom whenever he wanted to with the proof that she cheated on him. He could have even threw you away with her since you weren't his actual child.
Huh? So after all this time, you were the one who's related to Dad and not me? Why didn't he tell me about this sooner?
Dad wasn't the type of person to discriminate between us just because of the conditions surrounding our birth. He probably didn't tell us to keep the family safe. Maybe he knew that he and Mother would have gotten divorced. This proves that he did in fact care for you as well, Philia. Because if he hadn't, he would have just left the family fall apart and leave you and your mother to your own devices. You were just too blinded by jealousy to see that he cared for you as much as he did as me. I think what's written on his will is his final decision after years of inner torment, so I'm gonna do as Dad's will says. Goodbye for now, Philia. I hope that one day we can come to terms with each other and be the siblings that we always were.
But if he cared for me as much as he cared for you, then why did he give you more inheritance? I want that money as well. It wasn't supposed to be like this. I was supposed to get rich after Dad died. Irvis, marry me instead of Adriana.
Huh? Phila? What in the world are you talking about? Why should I marry you?
You see, I was such an unlucky child all this time.
Oh, you mean how you weren't your father's actual child? I guess it's a bit ironic how you kicked Adriana out of her father's funeral because she wasn't actually related to him, when in reality, you were the one who wasn't related to your father, and she was.
Yes, I never wanted this to happen. And I can't even receive an inheritance because of Adriana.
What does Adriana have to do with this? Your father simply gave Adriana more money than you and your mother, simply because he thought Adriana would make better use of it, I think. I doubt he was petty enough to give Adriana more money just because he liked her more. It simply isn't good parenting. You and your mother are housewives without a job, right? But Adriana has a promising career. In fact, she's now the CEO of her father's company. And so that's probably why he gave her the money.
But if Adriana never existed, then at least I would have been Dad's only legal child, and me and Mom would have been able to receive an inheritance. Isn't that so?
Philia, do you realize that you're being extremely rude to Adriana?
What? Who cares if I was being a bit rude? I was only telling her the truth. She was trying to lay claim to Dad's inheritance even though she was just a stranger to him. That's why I told her to get out of my sight.
It's true that the business of inheritances can be delayed, and people need to handle them logically. But after your father died, while everyone else was quietly mourning your dad with whatever thoughts they might have had for him, the sight of you and your mother looking so excited for the inheritance was disturbing, simply put. I'm not surprised your dad chose to give his inheritance mainly to Adriana. With that personality of yours, I'm actually surprised he didn't divorce your mother and let go of you sooner. It just goes to show how kind of a man he was.
It's not like that. Dad always treated Adriana better than me, and now I know why. It's because I wasn't actually his real child, and Adriana was his nephew all along. And I never intended for it to seem like I wasn't sad about my dad's death and only cared about the inheritance, Irvis. I was sad about Dad's death just like everyone else. You just didn't notice it. And what do you mean, that personality of yours? I'm a much better person than Adriana. She just pretends to be the saint when in reality, she just does it to make people like her. And me and Mom are the only person who realize it.
I knew that's what she would say. It's not like your dad ever told me anything, but I don't think that he treated Adriana better than you simply because you were the child of another man. And Adriana was his nephew, Adriana's father was the kind of person that judged someone entirely on who they are as a person. You can see it in how he runs his company, where employees are evaluated entirely on their scale, right? This means that your father was more fond of Adriana than you simply because he liked her better as a person. Although I will admit that a father treating their children with different levels of love is a bit unfair, and I'll forgive you a little bit for that. But saying that you never intended for it to seem like you weren't sad about your dad's death and that you only cared about the inheritance is actually just as bad as saying that you did intend for it to look like that. Because now you're just someone that has no regard for manners and what other people think.
Irvis, don't say things like that. It wasn't my fault that I wasn't actually my father's child and that Adriana was his niece. I didn't ask for any of this to happen. Please, I have no one else to depend on. Why don't you want to marry me?
I feel bad for your situation, but sorry, I'm not going to marry you no matter how much I pity you. Because I love Adriana and no other woman. Goodbye, Philia. I hope that you someday find happiness of your own.
Dad was the owner of the house Philly and her mother lived in, but it was now my house after the inheritance. It seems the two were too proud to live in a house owned by me, so they used a little money they received as a gift from Dad to find an apartment. Actually, the gift money they received was only little compared to the rest of the inheritance, but it was still quite a large sum of money. But for some reason, the two of them decided that these were the funds they needed to start gambling, even though they needed that money to get by until they could start providing for themselves. Even though they intended to earn some easy money by winning, they eventually lost all of it. Now the two of them support themselves by working at a job that comes with housing. But since the two of them have never worked a day in their lives, they frequently make mistakes and get scolded by the other employees. The two now live in poverty and constantly have fights, it seems. Me and Irvis, on the other hand, got married a few months after the memorial service took place, which is also when I started to be more comfortable with my new position as the CEO. We decided to find a new house as a way of putting the past behind and starting anew. And I decided to sell the house I inherited from Dad. I kind of feel bad for Philia. After all, she thought that she was her dad's real child her whole life. But to be honest, I don't think Dad was the kind of person to judge a person based on something like that. So I also feel that what happened to her was ultimately her own doing.
Liar, you disgust me. Get out of my sight. I don't want to see your face anymore.
Huh? What's this suddenly, Vivian? Did something happen? But today's a day to celebrate.
Shut up, liar. Go home. Don't come to my wedding today.
What? Hold on, Vivian. What do you mean go home? But I just got here with James and his family. Did something happen?
Don't act like you don't know, you fraud. You were lying this whole time, right?
What are you talking about? Just calm down, will you? I won't be able to understand you if you don't tell me what's happened first, daughter.
Stop pretending to be my father. You're not my actual father, right? I heard everything about it.
Well, it's true that I'm only your stepfather, but what do you mean you heard everything about it?
I know why you and Mom got married. You disgust me. To think that you were the kind of scum that would cheat. I don't want you to come to my wedding anymore.
What? What do you mean cheat? Me? I've never done such a thing in my life.
Don't act dumb with me. You cheated with Mom, right?
What? With Alexandra? What do you mean I cheated with my wife?
While me and my brother were living with our real father, you stole our mom away from Dad. That's when our real parents got divorced and Mom got custody of us and then married you.
Huh? What are you talking about?
Just because our real dad got sick and couldn't work anymore, Mom threw him aside and went with you instead. You two never even paid him an alimony. Disgusting.
Hold on. I have no idea what you're talking about. None of what you're saying is true.
I said don't act dumb with me. I already heard everything.
Who did you hear this from then?
My real dad, of course.
Huh?
My dad, who I'm actually related to by blood. He visited me around 2 months ago. He said he was looking for us all this time because you and Mom basically abducted us from him several years ago.
It's a lie. Don't believe what he says. What he's saying is impossible.
It's not a lie. Dad told me everything about it. And about how Mom cheated on him with you, and how you two abducted us from him, and about how hard life was for him after that. He's been wanting to meet us all this time. To think that you hid all of this up until now and pretended to be our father. You're trash.
Hold on, Vivian. Listen to what I have to say first. First of all, me and your mom didn't meet while she was married. We did nothing shameful like that.
You're still going to make excuses? My real dad told me he's been keeping this quiet because he didn't want to hurt me. But he said he couldn't stand anyone like you ruining my wedding. He told me all this really kindly back there. All you think about is yourself, right?
That's not true. Listen to me, please.
I don't want to listen to a word you say. I'm going to invite my real dad to the wedding, not you. Just leave, will you? I don't want to call a woman that would cheat on my mother anymore. And you're not even related to me in the first place. Not once did I consider you my father.
Oh, I see. Fine. I get it. I'll go home. I don't care what you call me anymore, but I won't forgive you for insulting your mother like that. I won't come to the wedding and go home. That's what you want, right?
I'm cutting ties with you, by the way. Don't show yourself to me ever again.
Hey, Vivian, what are you thinking kicking Dad out like that? He tried to look calm, but he was clearly furious. I mean, I don't blame him for being mad. What do you mean Dad stole Mom from our previous dad? Are you really that dumb to believe such a thing?
You're going to say that as well? Open your eyes. We were being fooled by that fraud all these years.
You're the one who needs to open their eyes. Dad has supported us all these years, even after Mom died 15 years ago. He never even remarried. He did all that for us, even though we weren't his real children. But this random dude comes out of nowhere spreading lies, and you just believe what he says and call Dad a fraud? How ungrateful are you?
He's not lying. He knew things from when we were young. He's our real dad. Of course I'm going to believe him.
I, for one, am going to believe our dad who raised us for 15 years and not some random dude that came out of nowhere.
He probably only raised us because he had some sort of agenda of his own. Like, maybe he wanted us to look after him when he's old. That's the only reason he didn't leave us. He even looked at me sometimes with perverted eyes. It must have something to do with that as well.
You really are trash, huh? Fine, I get it now. I'll take care of Dad when he gets old. You go with this random guy of yours. I'll go with Dad to the station. Hold on, I think I'm going to go home as well. I don't want to have to sit with some stranger you invited. I have a wife and child, so I don't want to be involved in this shady business.
What? You're going home?
Why would I go to the wedding of a piece of trash like you?
Hold on. I asked your kids to be the ones to hand me the ring and the flowers.
I don't know. It's not my problem. You're not my sister anymore.
Huh? Why? Fine. I don't care anymore as well. I won't let you meet our dad anymore, even if you beg me. Hey, answer the phone! Help me! Come back to the wedding!
What is it? I'm already home. You're supposed to be at your wedding reception, right? Do you have the time to be contacting me like this?
There are bigger problems right now. I need help. This is an absolute mess.
Did something happen?
Dad drank some alcohol and is now having a rampage. He was fine during the wedding ceremony, but he suddenly started going on a rampage and breaking things once he got drunk at the reception. He's breaking chairs and tables. Some of the staff tried to stop him, but no one could get near him. He's even injured several people. Not only that, but Dad brought with him this random woman saying she was my grandmother. I don't know whether she's mentally ill or something, but she pooed her pants in the middle of the room. This is a mess.
I see. That does sound like a mess.
Why are you saying that as if you have nothing to do with it? It's really a mess over here. All of my friends and colleagues left already. My fiance and his parents are asking me what's going on, but I don't know what's going on either.
What do you mean, as if I had nothing to do with it? You cut ties with me, right? And so now I'm a stranger who has nothing to do with it.
What?
You told me that yourself, right? That I'm not your father?
Yeah, I did say that, but shouldn't you still help me at times like this?
Well, that seems awfully convenient. Do something about these relatives of yours yourself. I'm pretty sure that man isn't your dad, though, but he is your relative.
What?
You were too young at the time to remember, but you and James's real father died more than 20 years ago.
Huh? What do you mean?
James was 6 years old, and you were 2 years old at the time, I think. I heard from Alexandra that he died from a car accident. I visited his grave once before I married your mom, too. He's dead, without a doubt.
What? What are you talking about? There's no way what you're saying is true. Then who are those people that are making a mess at my wedding?
I had guessed as to who he might be prior, but I'm sure of it now. I think he's your real dad's brother and mother, which means that they're your uncle and grandmother. To think that he would call himself your father after what happened. What a heartless man.
Which means he's not actually my dad? What do you mean after what happened? What happened?
That man tried to marry Alexandra right after your father died. He was trying to get his hands on your father's inheritance. He didn't listen to what Alexandra said and even divorced his own wife at the time. Apparently, he even bought a sports car thinking he would be able to get your dad's inheritance. It's unbelievable, right? That money was supposed to be spent on you, James, and Alexandra's future.
No way. I can't believe this. He bought a sports car?
Alexandra and you children were able to get away thanks to the help of the wife he divorced. But he followed you for years after that. I heard that you guys had to move 2 times since he kept following you guys. Alexandra says she wasn't even able to visit her late husband's grave, and in the panic, even lost your dad's picture. She said those were tough times.
But...
Well, that's it. The man who's currently making a mess at your wedding is not your father, but your uncle, who your mother cut ties with. He didn't even marry Alexandra, but still he calls himself your father. I guess he intends on following you instead now. Your fiancé is the head of a university hospital, right? Getting rid of him is probably going to be really difficult.
Huh? What do you mean?
I'm only guessing, but the 2 of them have a huge amount of debt. The loan he took for his sports car is still unpaid probably. And it seems he doesn't make much money either. Not only that, but his mother has Alzheimer's. Either he barely gets by, or he's already collapsed from the pressure. That's why he came to you and your husband. Because he intends on making you pay for his debt. They'll probably be even more hard to get rid of this time since he won't let go of an opportunity like this when your husband is rich. He's careless with how he spends his money, so he's probably going to give you 2 a hard time. Make sure not to let your guard down around him.
Huh? Hold on. This can't be true. There's no way we can take care of the 2 of them. He's not even my real father.
But aren't you the one who believed what he said and allowed him to come to your wedding? You wouldn't even listen to a word I said, right? Whether you're going to take care of him or run away is your responsibility.
That's impossible. We can't run away now. I already told him where my fiance's parents live, and he even knows the address of our new house. What should I do? Help me, Dad?
You said that I wasn't your dad, right? You said I was a fraud, and to never show myself in front of you again.
No, that was...
I mean, I'm not even related to you by blood. I'm a stranger to you, just like you said. So what if this man isn't actually your dad? He's your uncle, related to you by blood. Why not treat him like he was actually your father?
No, I don't want that. Please, Dad, help me. I was fooled as well. I didn't know that that's who he was. Help me, Dad. Do something about this.
Vivian, I raised you as if you were my real daughter. That was what I had told myself I would do when I married Alexandra. To treat you 2 like I was your real dad. But I'm only human as well. There's no way I wouldn't get mad or sad when the daughter I had raised up until now suddenly denies everything that I had done for her. And not only that, but insults my wife, her own mother, that I still love. Do you really think that I'm going to help you now just because you told me to? When you haven't even apologized?
That's not what I meant. I'm sorry, Dad. I made a misunderstanding. I was wrong. So forgive me.
It's not something that can just be forgiven like that. Sorry, but you're on your own. I don't want to have anything to do with those people as well. Even if I were to go straight to your wedding, I wouldn't be of much help anyways.
But...
If you ever have trouble shaking off those people, it's fine if you get me involved, but no matter what you do, don't involve your brother and his family. He has young children.
Hold on, Dad. Don't leave me.
That's up to you. Congratulations on your wedding. I'd be glad if you found happiness. After that, Vivian's uncle, who was rampaging in the wedding venue, was subdued by security. Both him and his mother were taken away by the police. Vivian deeply regretted making a mess of her own wedding and apologized to her fiancé and his family, and said that she would delay them getting married until she sorts out her business with her uncle. That, or she would pay an alimony and cancel the marriage. The groom's parents wanted to cancel the marriage, but thanks to Vivian's kind-hearted fiancé, it was decided to only postpone the marriage. I'll skip the details, but after that, Vivian's uncle was tried at court. Apparently, he was guilty on countless other crimes as well, and was sent to prison. His mother was sent to a facility for elderly people, and Vivian never saw her again. Vivian and her fiancé came to me and apologized for what Vivian had done. She said it was fine if I wanted to cut ties with her if I couldn't forgive her for what she had done. But I also felt slightly guilty for not telling her about her uncle earlier, and decided to forgive her if she apologized to her mother at the grave as well. Vivian paid for the wedding all on her own and even canceled their honeymoon. But after overcoming several hardships, the two got married half a year later. She made up with her brother James as well, and she hosted a dinner party with us as a way of making up for her ruined marriage ceremony. It seems they still have a lot of things to take care of. I'm glad to see that the two are happy. I'm sure Alexandra and her late husband are also watching from heaven and are glad their children found happiness. After all that, I went back to my peaceful old life of going to work and occasionally playing with my grandchildren who come to visit. My children have already grown up, and I have no intention of remarrying. I think I'm going to save up for my retirement and also maybe get better at my hobby, open sea fishing.